Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy, thy will be done. In this session, I want to spend a few minutes about the initial interview. First of all, you have to research the company and the individual that you're interviewing with. Anything you can find out about them and anything you can find out about the job. If you have any connections with them, you need to. LinkedIn, of course, is wonderful for that, but research the person that you're talking to with, where they've worked, how long they've been there. If you know anybody that knows them, find out about them through people you know. Do your research. By the way, when you get into an initial interview or any interview, sit maybe 10 feet apart, but take your mask off. Do not wear a mask in an interview. When people can't see your face, they psychologically don't really see you, and they don't really get a feel for you as a person. When people can't see you, your face, your smile, your mouth, your eyes, obviously they can see your eyes, but there's just something psychological about it that masks you. No pun intended, but it does. So take off your mask and make sure you're 10 feet apart if you have to be 10 feet apart. Okay. My goodness, take notes in the interview. Don't walk out of an interview with no notes. You think you're going to be able to remember everything, and you're not going to be able to remember everything. Write down questions that you're going to have with the hiring authority about the job before you get there. Don't necessarily rely on these written job descriptions, good written and verbal communications. What's that? Junk. You've got to know as much as you can about the job. If you know people that work at the company about the job, find out from them. Know as much as you can. But for goodness sake, take notes in the interview. Now, that doesn't mean that you do nothing but write. Just sit down and write as you are going through the interview. Write keywords that make sense so that you can know and be able to ask, know what you're interviewing for, but be able to ask really good questions, because they're not going to tell you. Sometimes they don't know. Look, 60% of the hiring authorities don't really know what they're looking for, and they're kind of feeling their way along the line too. And they do as poor a job of interviewing as candidates do. 60% of our problem in the recruiting business is not our candidates. It's our hiring authorities that don't really know how to interview well. Here's one of the major reason that I thought of this for this evening's program. After the interview, you've got to go out in your car, or after your video interview or whatever, write down everything you can about the company, the job, everything you can remember. Do not rely on your memory. You may go back to this company, if you're fortunate, 2 to 3 or 4 weeks later, and you're not going to remember what they were looking for. I had a candidate the other day, God bless him, he's had so many interviews, he's gotten them confused. He doesn't remember who wants what. And he's asking me, and I'm trying to explain to him, it's because he didn't take good notes after the interview. Write down everything you possibly can, and then assess your success at the interview. Where are you strong? Where are you weak? What do you have that the company really would like to hire? What can you do for them that they don't already have? Not only why are they looking for somebody, but what in your background are your strengths that you can do for them? And also, where are your weaknesses? If any of your weaknesses came up in the interviewing process, you need to be able to write them down So you know when you go back to the interview, if indeed you do, you can offset those weaknesses that you have. And if you follow my program, the Job Search Solution, you're going to ask questions like that. Where do I fit in? Where am I strong? Where am I weak? And things like that. And ask yourself this question: if you are in the employer's shoes, looking at you as a candidate, how do you feel about you? Where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? How do you fit in? What are your concerns? Most employers don't take good notes about the hiring situation. And so they'll remember certain things about you, but they won't remember very much. And they won't remember oftentimes about where you're strong and where you're weak. And you may very well have to reinforce that in the follow-up interview or in the emails that you send them. Did you sell yourself? Does the employer have a really good reason for wanting to hire you? Write all of this down. You're not going to be able to remember it. And then when you go back for the subsequent interviews, you'll have notes to refer to, and you can offset any issues that you might have been concerned about. Most of these initial interviews are only going to last an hour, maybe hour and a half. You can't get everything done in there. You've got to write it all down. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashara with the Job Search Solution.